Hello and welcome to the showcase of Chill Placement Assist. I will be explaining to you what the tool is and how it is used alongside other tools. Chill Placement Assist is a tool that allows you to, with more ease, manually place actors and static meshes around your scene using an intuitive interface and with ghost previews as you might encounter in in-game building systems. This tool is meant to be useful in detailing your main areas or front center environment pieces, as it allows you to have greater control than any PCG graph might offer. But for bigger environments, it's best used in combination with those tools, which I plan to develop and release alongside this multiple other tools that will focus more on that. But let's move on to the actual showcasing of the tool in action. So first off, once you install it, um, you will probably have to go into plugins and still enable it in the Chill Editor section. You have the placement assist, you can enable this. Double check that from Unreal Engine the scriptable tools editor mode and scriptable tools framework are also enabled, as these are dependencies. They should automatically enable after enabling placement assist, but in case you run into issues, check that first. Then next up, you will be able to open the scriptable tools menu here. You can also use the keybind Shift 9 for this, and you can see the placement assist tool over here. First off, to go down the list, you have some utility buttons to force a recalculation of the rotation and refreshing the placement preview. Preview is what you see here. The default Unreal Engine chair, which I include as an example setup for the data structure. Some additional settings include a final outliner folder. This is used to determine where in the outliner the objects get placed. So if you want folder organization, you can adjust this here. It updates every time you place. So if you change the variable in here, each individual object will get placed into the folder as the variable was at the time. You can also include the option to trace complex or simple. Usually you'd do complex, but if your environment gets too cramped for performance reasons, it's able to be turned off. And you might, for some objects like these mounts, they tend to typically be nicer if they get moved down into the ground, which you can adjust here as well. You might have to refresh the placement preview in order to showcase it more clearly. Let me just make the chair floating, and then you can see it floats above. The reason it's switched to include a light right now is because I have the data table selected with examples, which can be tweaked here. The main way to include assets or actors in the tool is through the usage of data assets. For more example, I have here made a structure with some Quixel assets from the Desert Bazaar and some other desert assets. As an example, what you might do with this, you might want to have individual data assets for specific static mesh or actor types. Like in this case, I made one for Bazaar props, which I filled with all of the props that are then included in the tool. You can, whenever you want to add something, just go miscellaneous data asset, select placement, settings data asset, and then give it an appropriate name, like example props. Then inside of there, press the plus button, open it up. You can choose whether you want to add a static mesh or an actor. Mainly only the selection prompt here changes accordingly. Let's say we want to include rock into this. We might decide to include this desert rock. Then we can adjust the weight. If you add multiple things in one data asset, it will randomly choose one between, with the weight affecting the chance. The higher the weight, the higher the chance the asset gets chosen. And then you can apply a base position offset and a base rotation offset if, for example, some assets might be rotated around a different pivot facing forward. You might want to then adjust the default offset by -90 or keep it at 0 accordingly, depending on if they decide to go the green direction or the red direction. Some additional settings you can override are forcing random rotation mode, forcing a specific scale for direct scale mode, or a specific scaling for random scale mode. These I'll explain in a moment. Now imagine like me, you have set up multiple data assets for specific teams or maybe areas or just general collections of the game. You can then also optionally set up a data table. Choose the placement data asset row. Just give it a name for now. I'll keep it like this. Add in. Then you can adjust the name like example props. And then here I can select the example props. I can add another one. For this I'll choose one of the ones I already added, like bizarre props. These bizarre props will not be included in the release version. I do offer some others to be included, which are mainly the Unreal Engine starter content, as an example on how to set up the assets in your own engine. To find these, you can enable the view for your editor and plugins, then look down for placement assist. I went over it here. In there you can see a similar structure I did with some examples made with the chairs and a Pactactor level with the other meshes included as well. But returning to here, in the data table we have assigned our variables. Then inside of the tool we can decide to be in data table mode and select the data table we made. Then from here we can easily switch between. So how you might want to organize this, like I did, I made a bizarre one when building this, which one contained the prefabs and the props. You might have to refresh. The other one contained all of my nature related assets, like this rock mount over here. Then to choose, you can also, if you want to just quickly include an asset for tryout, like if I want to include another rock in here, I can just enable it here, and then you might need to refresh to get the latest thing. Then it will just always use that one. This is also helpful if you want to check out what might be nice base overrides. The tool also supports undoing and redoing of the placed assets, so you don't have to manually switch back and select something to delete it. You can just Ctrl Z if you made a mistake. Then you can also choose a data asset directly instead of going through the data table. You can change the default preview material. And there are also some scaling modes and rotation modes that the tool by default offers. For scaling, this includes a drag. So if I would go into bizarre blueprint stuff, which are these prefabs from the Quixel Desert Bazaar set. If I have dragging enabled, it will take the entire thing and allow you to drag, expand, and shrink it. You can clamp the value as well if you want between specific values. That means it won't go smaller or bigger than those values. Another one is random size. So if you might want to be placing like small rocks in your environment, you can then keep pressing and it will get a random scale mode. Moving on to the rotation modes, there are a few rotation modes this tool offers. The common one that will probably be used are drag, which depending on your rotation offset moves the object along to your dragging direction to rotate it accordingly. You can also decide to align to surface through this, which uses the hit surface as a base. This is commonly used if you want to apply things on a slope or on a wall. The next one that's commonly used is random mode. This, just like with the scale, allows you to randomly rotate something per each instance within a specific range. The tool also allows you to decide to rotate on every axis to allow more variety, for example when you want to place foliage pieces. But most often for other decoration props you want to keep this enabled. This also allows you to align to surface, including with this mode, but when not using the only rotate option, your experience might vary since every axis is random and then it gets applied on top of the aligned surface. Another option is face cam, which will be facing the object perpendicular to the camera's view direction. Because it's an editor tool, it can't be facing directly towards a player character, but this mode is very useful if you want to apply or place statues or even these ledges. I placed these myself using this mode because you can just move your camera around and then they will get rotated accordingly. So you can easily make different shaped cliffs with this. Another mode is just a regular manual mode, which will take the rotation you input in here and apply it. So like if I want to rotate this by 90 degrees, it will get rotated by 180, etc. This also allows for align to surface and uses that as a base instead. So that's the main showcase of the functionality of the tool. If you have any questions, just feel free to join the community Discord and reach out. And I hope you will enjoy using the tool and look forward to what's next.